Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today I will be going over the winners and losers of this year's NBA trade deadline. Obviously, to get started, Saturday night, the biggest trade in NBA history happened. Me and my friend Brock went over it in the link above. You can watch that video. We basically went over just what happened. The Lakers obviously gave up Anthony Davis and Max Christie for top three player in the NBA, Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, and the Lakers also gave up a first round pick. So obviously, to start with the winners and losers. First, to start with the winners, the Lakers obviously were going to be huge winners in this trade deadline, no matter what they did. Doesn't matter what they did, they were going to win this trade deadline. When you get Luka Doncic, when you get a top three player in the NBA, you're going to win this trade deadline. Additionally, the Lakers also, today, I'm recording this 3 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, or Central Standard Time actually. I'm in Iowa, so whatever standard time that is. They were able to get Mark Williams from the Charlotte Hornets for Dalton Knecht, Cam Reddish, a 2031 first round pick, and a 2030 pick swap with the Charlotte Hornets. This is a massive get for the Lakers, as this establishes them with a big man. Obviously they lost Anthony Davis, so they needed to get a big man. And looking at their squad, obviously when you have Luka and LeBron, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, Mark Williams will probably be your starting five. With Dorian Finney-Smith, Gabe Vincent, Jackson Hayes, Kleber, who's injured, he'll be reevaluated in 8 weeks, and Jared Vanderbilt, that's a pretty good top 10 for a roster. That's a pretty good 10-man rotation. They'll probably have cut that down to 7 or 8 in the postseason. Looking at the squad, initially, before I dug into the statistics, I was a little bit concerned as to where their shooting would come from. But looking at the stats, I mean, Luka, he's having a bit of a down season in terms of three-point percentage. He's at 35% right now. Obviously, I think that'll change a little bit just because now he has the tools around him to get more open shots. Austin Reeves is at 37.2%. Rui Hachimura having one of his best shooting percentages in his career. On 3.8 attempts per game, he is shooting 43%. LeBron, obviously, he's having one of his best seasons shooting at 38%. Mark Williams, more of going to be the interior player, getting rebounds. Hopefully, he can stay healthy. Injuries have derailed his young career a little bit, but he still is a young player. Finney-Smith at 42%. Gabe Vincent at 34%. I thought he was a bit more of a sharpshooter, but it is what it is. Jackson Hayes, obviously, a good backup big man, and Jared Vanderbilt will give them some defense. On the Maverick side of things, obviously, it's been quite the week. It's still very shocking as to why Nico Harrison and their management would do this. They were able to make some moves to put pieces around Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis, but it is just very shocking. The fans have been very upset. A lot of fans have said that they're just gonna follow Luka to the Lakers. There was a post I saw that the Mavs lost over 700,000 followers on Instagram. I'm not too sure the truth of that, but I could see it. It's a real rough week to be a Mavs fan, to say the least. Next up, we'll stay on the winners bracket, or no, we'll do the losers, and then we'll end with some winners to end on a good note. Another big loser in this NBA trade deadline, the Phoenix Suns. They did not get rid of Bradley Beal or Kevin Durant. They were shopping Kevin Durant. There's been reports that locker room is toxic. It's a bit of an interesting It's a bit of an interesting scenario because I mean, Kevin Durant is just the unhappy superstar. I mean, the happiest that he was supposed to be was in Golden State, but winning those championships didn't really do much for his popularity, just because I mean they were the powerhouse squad of the late 2010s, and he didn't get the validation, I guess, that he wanted. And obviously, they were adored in Oklahoma City, but they weren't able to quite get over the hump. And then he goes to Brooklyn, almost goes to the NBA Finals if he doesn't step on the three-point line in those 2021 playoffs. Then things end badly in Brooklyn. Phoenix just hasn't gone the way he's thought. Pairing up with Devin Booker, we'll see how that goes. The Suns were able to trade Yusuf Nurkic for Cody Martin, I believe, one of the Martin brothers, which doesn't really move the needle for me. Yeah, I mean, Phoenix is kind of stuck, and that's what happens when you're paying Bradley Beal $50 million. Another, I'd say, borderline loser, not like a terrible loser like the Mavericks or the Suns, but the Kings, Sacramento Kings. Basically, they traded De'Aaron Fox for Zach LaVine. Both players are relatively in the same tier for me. They're good players. They're not the number one. They're not going to be a number one on a championship winning squad. Number two, probably not either. They'd be a really good number three, but it's not really moving the needle for me in terms of Sacramento. Also involved in that trade, the Bulls were able to get Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, and 2 first-round picks. And they were able to get rid of Zach LaVine's contract. So I think the Bulls are not necessarily a big winner, but they are a borderline winner for me. A question mark team for me. Neither a winner or a loser. The Golden State Warriors. They were able to acquire Jimmy Butler basically for Andrew Wiggins and a first-round pick, because Kyle Anderson and Dennis Schroeder were moved elsewhere. So you trade Andrew Wiggins and a first-round pick for Jimmy Butler. Now, Jimmy Butler, much like Kevin Durant, unhappy superstar. Was on the Bulls, then the Timberwolves. Things ended badly in Minnesota. Then he goes to Miami, takes them to the finals versus the Lakers and loses, and then goes again and loses to the Nuggets. Takes them to the finals twice. Now, things ended badly. Obviously, he was suspended indefinitely before this trade. He's not on the Christmas card list for Pat Riley, that's for sure. But we'll have to see. It's a TBD. It's not winner or loser. Jimmy's he's definitely taken some regular seasons off in recent years and been more of a designated playoff player for sure. It's a TBD for me. He could do well with Curry in the playoffs. They can make a little bit of a run. Do I think they're built to make a long-term run in the postseason? No. Do I think they're good enough to maybe win a first-round matchup now, or even go into round 2 and win something, have a little upset against maybe Memphis? Or I don't think Oklahoma City. I think Oklahoma City is destined for a long, sustainable postseason run. But it's a TBD for me in terms of Golden State. Now moving on to winners. The second biggest winner I have for the 2025 NBA trade deadline, the San Antonio Spurs. As we saw last night in that Spurs victory over Atlanta, De'Aaron Fox, I feel, has fit in seamlessly with Wemby and Chris Paul and the crew. They were able to trade De'Aaron Fox for Zach Collins, or they were able to acquire De'Aaron Fox for Zach Collins and Trey Jones. And, I mean, I think De'Aaron Fox played this really, really in a wise way. He knows something's cooking in San Antonio, and that something is a 7'4" Frenchman I mean, he's a guaranteed defensive player of the year winner for the next 10 years. He knows something's going on. He knows that greatness is in San Antonio. Wemby, he's ridiculous, man. He's unbelievable. They're going to be a good combo. Do I think those two are a championship winning duo? I think De'Aaron Fox is just below that tier. I think they could have some success in the next couple years, but I think San Antonio is missing that one piece. Which, could it be Cooper Flag? I guess we'll see. My third and fourth, I just wanted to mention, I wanted to hit these before we wrapped up. The Los Angeles Clippers were able to acquire Bogdan Bogdanovic from the Atlanta Hawks for Terrence Mann and Bones Highland. And the Cleveland Cavaliers were able to acquire DeAndre Hunter from the Hawks for Karis LeVert, George Niang, and 3 second-round picks. Both of these pieces are relatively small, but I think they can swing a playoff game or two in this postseason. So to wrap up, or in summary, in review, my biggest winner in this NBA trade deadline, Los Angeles Lakers, being able to acquire Luka Doncic and filling in the big man need that you lost with Anthony Davis. They did exactly what they needed to do. Also, they got to keep Austin Reeves. They were able to keep him, which is a huge bonus for them. They didn't lose that much. San Antonio Spurs, my second biggest winner in this trade deadline, getting De'Aaron Fox, just adding another piece, keeping Wemby relatively happy because at least you're trying. You're not just being New Orleans and not giving Zion any help, or help that doesn't really amount to anything. Third and fourth, to be mentioned, Los Angeles Clippers and the Cavaliers were able to both add relatively solid pieces. Question mark, Golden State, how is Jimmy Butler going to perform the rest of the season and in the postseason if they do make it? Biggest loser in the trade deadline, Mavericks. Most insane trade of all time. You don't want to be on the losing end of the most insane trade of all time, and they definitely are. Second biggest loser, Phoenix, not trading Beal or Durant. They're kind of stuck. Kings, not a huge loser, but just kind of in no man's land there in Sacramento. And it's going to be a hell of a finish. That's been my analysis of the 2025 NBA trade deadline. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We're on YouTube and Spotify. We will be coming out with a lot more content this week, so make sure to hit that subscribe button, like, share with a friend, and until next time.